What's going on, guys? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. And on this video, I wanted to talk about some of the things that you need to do and certainly need to consider doing if you're prepping to actually move to the Philippines. Okay. And this is probably, pretty much for guys that are like in retirement age. Okay. This may not, all of this is not going to be relevant to, like, younger guys that are coming here and that are digital nomads, right, and all that. Some of it will, but a lot of it probably, whatever, half of it won't. So it's geared more toward guys, in their 60s, or, with some kind of pension or otherwise some kind of solid income uh, coming in. Um, so anyway, the first big thing is, and I'm assuming, this is sort of like for guys who own property, right? Like, you're living in a house or a condo in the US. And I'm going to kind of tailor this to the US because that's where I'm from. But again, some of this will be relevant to just guys from other Western countries, as well, right? So the first thing you got to do, right? The first big decision probably is sort of like, okay, if you have a house or a condo that you own, whether you're going to sell it or rent it out. Okay. Um, and it depends on a lot of things, and it's really a kind of a personal decision up to you. But obviously, if you're in a situation where you don't have a mortgage, okay, you own the property outright, and you only pay the property taxes, basically, and maybe the homeowner's insurance every year, then you, depending on your situation, you could want to maybe rent it out and get some good cash flow on it. Okay. You could get 1,000. You might get on average at least 1,000 a month cash flow probably on a property in the US, unless you're in a real kind of an area where, the properties are cheap and the rents are low. you know then it's up to you. Maybe it'd be better to sell it. But if you're in a situation where you can get some pretty good cash flow on that property from renting it out, might not be a bad idea, right? Get 1,000, get 1,500 a month, of income, coming in. Now, when you do this, there's two ways to do it. I mean, if you got somebody that you can trust, like a close relative, that can handle the management of the tenant, and collecting the rent every month from you, or a lot of times you can set that up electronically. You can have the tenant pay electronically. Now, and that's certainly the case if you're using a management company. If you're actually using a professional management company, that's 90% of the time, that's what they're going to do nowadays. They're going to have it set up so everything's automated, auto payment every month, to avoid, any problems, or having to go and get a physical check from the tenant and then go deposit it into like your bank account or whatever, or maybe the management company's bank account, and then they take their cut, their 10% of the rent, and then they give the rest to you. Well, it's a lot easier nowadays because they'll just, all that can be done electronically. So that's something to consider. Um, and whether you rent it out, your property, or sell it, there's one thing that's going to be constant with those decisions is, you're probably going to have to get rid of your furniture and obviously your personal belongings and whatever you're sort of not going to bring with you, right, to the Philippines, you're going to have to sell, or just get rid of. Like if it's cheap stuff, clothing, old clothing, then, you might want to consider just donating it, right, to Goodwill or whatever, Salvation Army, whatever you want. Um, but either way, like because if you rent your place out, it's most of the time, especially if you use a management company, they're going to recommend, hey, just let the tenant get their own furniture. You know what I mean? Because there's other issues where if you rent it out your place as a furnished condo or house, then, if the furniture gets damaged, you know what I mean, and it causes more problems, where more gray areas, like, oh geez, should we get that money from the tenant that damage that what they did? And if it's just damage over the long period of time, you can't really, you know what I mean? If you got a solid tenant that's been there for 5 years, and then the couch is more worn than it was when they moved in, okay, that's normal wear and tear. You know what I mean. So it causes gray areas, okay, for that reason. So I mean, a lot of times you're going to wind up having to get rid of all your furniture, sell it, whatever, even if you rent out your property. Most of the time, you know what I mean. Not all the time, but most of the time. So, and then obviously when you sell your place, the furniture is going to be there until, it's going to be staged and all that while you're selling it. Likely they're going to recommend that, unless you have really bad old furniture. Then they're going to say, oh, just get rid of it now, or something or whatever, unless you're living there. You know what I mean? Then it's just like, well, okay, they just try and stage it as good as possible while you're selling it. But either way, you're going to have to get rid of it. So there's different ways to get rid of things. You could donate things, like I mentioned. They have Facebook Marketplace is a good way to sell stuff like furniture, or even give stuff away. If you have something that just seems like it's going to be difficult to sell, but you need to get rid of it, just post it for free. And you know what? Someone will take it, man. I've done it. I got rid of a lot of stuff before I came here, that way. And sold a lot of stuff too, but I also gave away some furniture, and they'll come and get it. Then you don't have to pay some garbage junk guy, $100 to get rid of your couch. You know what I mean? It's better to have somebody just come get it that wants it. Maybe they're going to put it in their basement or whatever. So that's one way, right? Facebook Marketplace. There's these garage sale apps that they have now, in just in local areas, in whatever area you live in. That's another way to sell stuff, locally. And if you have anything of value, or, decent value, consider maybe selling it on eBay, you know, because, you might get some $500 for something or whatever, for example. I'm not talking about stuff that's worth thousands of dollars, but, just stuff that, some collectible thing or something that maybe might be worth $500, instead of just trying to sell it on the local apps. They're going to give you $100, or, they're not going to give you the top dollar. So these are things that, you can think of, and suggestions that, for you to help you, sell your stuff, right? So that's one thing. Let's see, what else? We put on the old cheaters here. I got a whole list of stuff. Yeah, selling your furniture, selling belongings, like I already mentioned all that. Um, or you could, you know what? For some stuff, you can, if you're, especially if you're in a house, okay, if you own a house in a, decent neighborhood and stuff, consider you could have a garage sale or a yard sale, whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of the same thing, but, to sell stuff, right? Not high dollar stuff, you know what I mean? But just stuff that, you need to get rid of, that, you're going to get $5-10 each form or whatever. But, you sell a lot of items like that. At the end of the day, you wind up with 300, 400, $500 sometimes, so it helps, plus you got rid of stuff, which is what you needed to do. And then just consider what you want to ship to the Philippines, what you want to have take with you or whatever, or ship. And you can ship LBC if you have it in your community or in your city. Sometimes, you can use LBC. That's a cheap way to do it. But think about it, because I shipped more stuff than I needed, man. I mean, I shipped like 6 big boxes of stuff here, and I, you know what? I could have shipped 4 instead, or 3 even, probably. You know what I mean? If I would have just kind of thought about it longer, you know. So just make sure you think about that, because really what you don't want to do is, I mean, if you can possibly help it, it's probably not the best idea to just like rent out a storage space in the U.S. or whatever for $100 a month at least. just to put a bunch of crap in there that you don't know what to do with. You know what I mean? Because that's not making you any money. That's just money out of your pocket every month. You know. I mean, if you absolutely have to do it, I guess try. You know, if you can afford it, do it. But I mean, you know, if you can help it, try not to do that. You know. What else is going on here? Now, there's some other stuff. Yeah, you might want to think about technology stuff, you know, buying it in the US because it could be cheaper, especially if you buy like, you know, remanufactured stuff, which you can do now. You can buy phones, you can buy all kinds of stuff, laptops, and, you know, smartphones that are remanufactured for much cheaper than like, you know, for like $200-300, you know. So think about bringing stuff like that because not here it's not going to be cheaper here, and they're not going to have as much access to good products, good technology products here. You know what I mean? I mean, they got some, but it's like for example, you're not going to find any Pixel phones here unless you get it on some website and it's coming from Singapore. You know, but you're not going to find it in the stores anywhere. You know, like if you're a Pixel phone guy, you know, and they make good phones, man, with good cameras. You know, that's just an example. You know, so there is technology stuff that you might want to bring here when you come here. You know, to live. Um, Also, uh, you know, cell plans and stuff like that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a two-part out of this because I don't want to be doing like 20-minute videos, and I'm you know I'm kind of like half through with this, and you know, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second part to this video. So stay tuned. Okay. All right, guys, that's it, man. Uh, Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already doing so. I really do appreciate it. Um, and I do appreciate your time, guys. So I'll see you later. Have a good day. Bye bye.